Can a BRICS summit conversation shift the fate of the Nile? Ethiopia's Abiy Ahmed and Egypt's Madbouly in Brazil. Dialogue, doubt, and the future of Africa's waters. Can a brief dialogue between two prime ministers at a global summit alter the trajectory of one of Africa's most contentious disputes? As Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali walked among world leaders at the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro, his poised exchange with Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouly became a focal point, raising hopes, questions, and renewed scrutiny over the fate of the Nile. The backdrop was dramatic. Ethiopia's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, is now structurally complete and set for official inauguration in September. For Ethiopia, the dam represents a leap toward energy independence and national pride. For Egypt, it is an existential concern, as the country depends on the Nile for 90% of its water needs. The two leaders found themselves seated side by side during key summit sessions. Was this mere protocol, or a deliberate signal that dialogue remains possible? The images of their firm, composed discussion quickly spread, symbolizing both the gravity of the moment and the unresolved crisis between their nations. In a press conference following the summit, Madbouly was clear: Egypt's position has not changed at all. It will not allow any harm to its share of Nile waters. He stressed that while Egypt supports development across Africa, it cannot accept progress that threatens its vital water rights. Our relations with all African countries are based on mutual respect. We have repeatedly confirmed that we are not against development in any country, but not at the expense of Egypt's rights to Nile waters. This is a firm stance, he said. Madbouly revealed that Abiy Ahmed reiterated his usual assurances. Ethiopia, he said, intends no harm to Egypt or Sudan and invites both countries to cooperate on the dam's management. Yet, Madbouly's response was pointed: verbal reassurances are not enough. He called for these intentions to be translated into a binding, written agreement that would guarantee Egypt's rights for generations to come. Why has trust remained elusive despite years of negotiations and repeated diplomatic gestures? Egyptian officials, including Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Hani Soilam, have expressed skepticism about Ethiopia's sincerity, noting that more than a decade of talks have failed to yield a legally binding deal. The recurring pattern of promises without guarantees has fueled doubts in Cairo and among downstream communities. For Ethiopia, the GERD is more than a dam. It is a symbol of sovereignty and a tool for development. Prime Minister Abiy, speaking to his parliament, framed the project as an opportunity for regional cooperation, not a threat, and extended an invitation for dialogue. Ethiopia maintains that the dam's operation will be managed responsibly and equitably, without causing harm to neighbors. In Russia, however, turning the history of Nile diplomacy is fraught with tension. Hello, dear viewers. When Ethiopia began construction in 2011, Egypt's reaction was one of alarm, with some politicians viewing it as a direct threat to national security. Over the years, rhetoric has escalated at key moments, including when Ethiopia diverted the river to begin dam construction and during stalled US-mediated talks. International mediation has so far failed to resolve the deadlock. The United States, at one point, was accused by Ethiopia of favoring Egypt, while Sudan has often played a balancing role. Despite a preliminary agreement reached in Washington in 2020, final consensus on the dam's filling and operation remains elusive, with each side wary of conceding too much. The BRICS summit itself has now become a new arena for this dispute. With both Egypt and Ethiopia joining the expanded grouping, their conflict has been absorbed into a broader geopolitical context, raising questions about whether BRICS can facilitate a breakthrough or simply provide another stage for entrenched positions. Ethiopia's BRICS revolution. As Ethiopia prepares for the dam's and Russia are turning its official inauguration, tensions remain high. Egyptian officials continue to warn that any unilateral moves by Ethiopia could have serious consequences, while Ethiopia insists on its right to utilize its resources for development. Will these high-profile diplomatic encounters at BRICS finally lead to a written agreement, or will the Nile's waters continue to be a source of tension and uncertainty? The world watches as two African giants navigate a delicate balance between ambition and caution, sovereignty and shared survival, hoping that dialogue, this time, might carry the weight of history.